set up. NVIDIA, the chart that everybody loves to hate or hates to love. What do you think, GP? Loves to hate or hates to love? What do you think's more apropos?
I think everyone wants to be predictive about calling NVIDIA's demise. That's what I think it is. I don't think it's anything about hates to love or loves to hate. I think everyone wants to call the top, and like, yeah, maybe you shouldn't be calling the top.
Yeah, we talked about that a couple weeks ago. What did I do with your voice? Made you sound funny. It's not quite time to start knocking the king off the throne just yet. Hey, we're live. It's your boys, GP, JFDI, Nicholas, and Bags here with you on a Monday night. And what a market we have. I think that just being involved on the FinTwats as much as I am and seeing I feel like people's heads are spinning a little bit and I don't know what the hell's going on. Well, I mean, I think we've done a pretty good job of laying out roadmaps in the past. I don't think any of the three of us are surprised by today's action, right or wrong.
I mean, speaking on the video specifically, it's not that I definitely expected some sort of bounce coming into 400. I definitely wasn't expecting, nor was I really even hoping for a strong day today. I would have rather seen, just kind of like last week, I would have rather seen weakness on Monday than strength. But
you're 8 days out from earnings. NVIDIA is never weak 8 days out from earnings after they guided up 70%, 80%. It's just normal, right? In terms of past behavior kind of works up with NVIDIA. I saw a lot of FinTwit accounts posting Friday, the end of NVIDIA and how they caught the amazing short and blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden they're long today. So who the hell knows what people are doing, right? So day traders, I get it. That's not the problem. But yeah, I was long into Friday. I was not liking the gap down, but I was long into Friday, right? So it was a nice payday, out like 30%, holding the rest for follow through. If it doesn't follow through, it doesn't follow through. But NVIDIA most likely takes out all-time highs before earnings. That's my opinion.
Before earnings, and so in 8 days, NVIDIA is going to go, what is that? Another 20%? 20% in a week?
12%. 437, right? 480 is the all-time highs. It's 10%.
Oh, yeah, 10. Yeah, I was going from the bottom of the candle. You're right. You're right. My bad.
It's
10%.
not that hell, but it just had a 7% move without much, so it's not the end of the world. It might happen, but I think it gets. If you look at if you look at all the volume bars, there hasn't been much to suggest that there's an overall top happening. There hasn't been a lot of volume to the upside to basically show a upside capitulation. Yeah, we're in the zero DTE world, and you're seeing a lot of that action play out day to day, which is, hey, we broke a level, let's get the zero DTE puts going. That's kind of how it's been going. So you don't see a lot of follow through. That's why you see a lot of these moves. And NVIDIA, we talked about this back in September or October of 2022, is a notorious stock for breaking and stopping everyone out of their positions and then running the entire way, the other way. So we broke the post earnings high. What was it, 419 or something like that? And then just sold off all day Friday. And then today we gapped below. Everyone's like, yep, told you I was right. And then all of a sudden they're magically long again, but let's not even talk about that. And then we had a bullish engulfing of 2 days. 2 days, it engulfed 2 days on higher volume. It doesn't mean it can't go back down tomorrow. Last time I think NVIDIA had this kind of bullish engulfing was 10/13 of 2022. And then had a big nasty red day tomorrow. So I'm not saying it's all clear sailing from here, but
10.
I just don't think it's the end.
Let's look at 1013. 10.
The day, only the day the market's completely reversed.
Yep. That was a beauty, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that engulfed how many days? 3 days?
It did.
Oh, 2 days, 2 days, same thing. So it's possible that NVDA goes down tomorrow, but
yeah, I mean, it's close enough for a third day. I mean, it's good enough for government work.
So I think it also lines up with where the Qs are, right? I think that's part of this conversation here. Everything I'm reading on the intrawebs and the FinTwats is that the markets are going lower. And I don't know, I think I posted this chart a couple weeks ago, maybe a week and a half ago. We're retesting the breakout, right? And we're kind of in that chop zone in the summer doldrums. There's no meaningful break here. Yeah, it could break, but it doesn't look like it right now. And we talked about it last week, which is you had like volume that you see near the bottom happening near the top, and I was like on the sell side, I'm like, that's kind of not normal, but we'll see what happens. And
well, Cookie said this earlier, and it goes. I mean, Cookie is an honorary member of the TA report here, but he said basically what we've been saying in the fact that this is just merely a technical pullback, right? Like this isn't a clutch your pearls time yet. I think when that happens, if that happens anytime soon, then it's a full trend break, and it's not something as mundane as a few percent, right?
Yeah. And when it's a trend break, it's usually panic, right? It's not organized selling. So
yeah, it's straight down, right? Yeah. It's steps or escalator up, elevator down, and we haven't seen any elevator down moments.
And we did this in January's big move up. We 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 straight weeks, 5 straight weeks into the 13 SMA. And boom, then we took off for another leg. And
look at all of February too, right? Like all of February was that way.
Yeah. And so we're at the same kind of 5-6 weeks down right into the 13 SMA. And then boom, it might not happen this week because OPEX is always kind of weird, to be honest. But you're looking at similar kind of consolidation patterns. I don't know. It feels like people have forgotten their basic technical skills, but maybe I'm the one who's forgotten my.
Well, and speaking of OPEX, I mean, for a large percentage of the OPEXs that we've run into this year, they've kind of been, non-events. They've been a little bit of a nothing burger. I'm not saying this week is going to be substantially different, that I'm expecting a huge upside based off OPEX. I'm just expecting a move higher based on the past 2 weeks, not necessarily because it's OPEX. But yeah, I mean, we could figure out what maybe that looks like as we get closer to the week. It's kind of hard to say on Monday. It was a nice Monday day, but at the same time, who knows what's going to happen the rest of the week. We have a whole bunch of economic data coming out tomorrow. Retail. I posted this on Twitter and Stock Twits. U.S. retail sales minus autos, import price index, Empire State Manufacturing. So we'll see some pre-market movement, I think, but what does that mean for the end of the week? It's hard to tell. I do know retail is reporting this week from Amazon, but from Target to Walmart, Costco too.
Walmart was looking pretty good.
No, Costco already reported. But anyway, a lot of retail names are.
Yeah. And in one day, we retraced more than 50% of last week's move. Just an FYI, right? So the last week's moves was from 375.29 to 364.69, and where we closed above the last week's moves, above 50% of last week's move. So typically when that happens, when you get that kind of bar in one day of the prior weeks, it's something to note, because that's obviously strength. Volume was a little bit lacking for sure. And we didn't make a new low by 2 cents. That's usually the signs of trend changes, which is we don't make a new low on the week, right? So you start with your monthly pivot. The monthly has made a new low. So you got to watch that monthly pivot, which I believe is, no, we didn't make a new low. I take that back. Right now it's an inside month still. So it's when you don't get a weekly pivot break, then it's something to pay attention to. Once we break 364.69, then get tactically short, is my opinion, but that's me.
Yeah.
I think this is so great. I think so much is there's so many setups happening. Like for swing and position traders, like God, the setups are just building everywhere, I think.
Yeah. They're all to me, they all look like the Adam and Eve kind of breakout retest patterns. Like if we pull up Roku here, right? That's a good example, because Roku had a monster earnings move, and I typically don't like to see the earnings move given back right away, but it was coming in. It came into like strong heavy resistance at that 99 to 100 level, where we had a lot of kind of selling wicks down back from, when is it, May, June, July, right, of 2022. So you were expecting it to kind of have some, I wasn't expecting it to kind of do what it did, but this is what you'd like to see.
Yeah.
The 77 broke out on earnings, came back and retested on very little volume. We're kind of holding the opening bar from earnings, which was, what was it? The opening bar was right around 78-ish, I think it opened at. I'm not exactly sure. I don't have it all in front of me, but I think that's stuff it's when you see things like Upstart getting rocked and stuff like that, people are like, oh, that's it. Oh yeah, so the opening bar on Roku, it opened at 74.86, hit a high of 78.65 and closed at 78, right? So that's kind of if you look at the last, I don't know, last kind of 3 or 4 days, we've been hovering around that opening bar, right? That's where buyers kind of stepped in. So it's something to pay attention to. That's what you want to see from a stock that's moved. What did it move in what, 3 days? It went from 68 to 98. So it's essentially a 50-ish% retrace, or 61% retrace. It's still got a lot of work to do because it's still in the chop zone, but this is all healthy to me.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we're so damn close to, testing those highs that, like, you should be expecting volatility kind of up here where we're at, considering what we saw last year and even this year. But yeah, even seasonally, like, God, I pray for like another couple weeks of just kind of like sideways choppy action.
And you'll probably get it. We're at the end of summer. The doldrums, it's most likely to happen. It should start picking up after Labor Day again.
100%.
Well, I promised some news, and speaking of Labor Day,
Santa's gonna come this year. Oh, sorry.
No, that's all right.
And that was quick.
Thanks to a lot of people, including my Charts for Charity group, Nick, UNGP, all the people on Stock Twits who I've learned so much from. I retired at the ripe old age of 46 last week. I'll call it semi-retirement. And now I'm going to concentrate on trading. So big step for me, big step for my family. But thanks to all the wise or lucky investments and trades that I've made over the past, what is that, since I've taken on my own account, 5-6 years now, I guess, 2017. But yeah, I was able to retire early and begin a new chapter of life with my family. So I'm excited to no, not a new baby, Randy. No new baby. Just excited to do this more with you guys, be part of our communities more, share more of our content, and work for myself for a change. So anyway, that was the big news I promised to deliver, but exciting step for the Bags family, no doubt.
Congratulations, man. That's a big step. That's awesome. I
mean,
pushing...
it was the easiest, easy decision I've made. But once we came to the conclusion that we have made a very nice living and we have quite a bit of money saved, is like, why not? Why wait 3 or 4 more years? We can do this now.
Yeah.
So we're there. A name that has come up that hopefully will bolster the Bags family savings is Tesla. Do you guys see Elon in the corner down there? What was that?
Trading view. They're getting to
that was kind of memey, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, Tesla, a chart that I have really liked over the past couple weeks, has done exactly what the Qs have done, but it still sits right. I still like it. And GP, I don't know if you're the biggest Tesla bull or Nick is, but you guys tell me where I'm wrong, that this setup is starting to look explosive.
It's looked explosive, right? And basically they're if you look at the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the last 7 candles, they've all been pretty, like, even though they've been red, they've been pretty solid buy candles, right? So this is flow to me. This is gap fill to me. This is what Tesla does. It's max pain on both sides, right? So I like it. Need to see better action from it because it hasn't been great action. It's been straight down for what, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, and it's
bouncy to me.
Yeah, but it's down 20% versus the Qs being down like 4%, right? So
yeah, but that's the volatility in the name, right? Yeah. Like you kind of expect that. The beta is way bigger than just the Qs.
Yeah, and the volume's just not there, to be honest, no, right? Like
exactly.
And today's sheepy news on China price cuts is just like, how many times are we going to sell the same news over and over again? But they did it, and it was bought yet again. So it did fill the gap, which is a good technical. No more of those, oh, must fill gaps crap. It's now filled it. Maybe it fills other gaps. Maybe it goes back to 0. I have no clue. But they print money, and
Nick, are you betting on going to 0?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be.
He said, yeah.
I'm just saying, I'd be a dollar cost averaging down to 200, basically. I think it's kind of same thing. Like it's normal backfilling, and again, like it takes time to get these, like the 200-day to start pulling that thing up. It needs time to kind of move sideways and get that thing moving. So
I think what you also have to realize is, I believe the 50-week is still below the 200-week. If I'm correct.
I don't think so.
No. Maybe it's I saw one of them.
No, that's the
no. I was wrong.
The MACD is about to cross on the monthly.
Yeah, but the weekly is about to cross down.
Yeah, for sure. There's better setups out there as far as, like, right now or actively setting up. But either way, trading, adding some, I guess, versus this kind of gap fill is probably not a bad idea.
Yeah, I'm surprised, to be honest, that it's down. It got down to what, 234 today from
Yeah.
300, but it never surprises me because this name, outside of being a good long-term investment, in my opinion, is that when it trades in the Momo direction that it's going in, right? So when it reversed off the earnings, that continues until there's a catalyst to turn it the other way. And this to me seems like the drawdown right before the Cybertruck push out happens, right? So that's personally to me. So like I said, I've said for years, short-term trading Tesla options will smoke you. Look for longer dated stuff where you can give it time to play out, is what I would do. But this is healthy to me. It's still healthy. Everything's healthy.
So are we going to get fully autonomous and the Cybertruck in the same year? Or are we going to have to wait a decade?
I don't know about that. I'm just waiting for all the island gap reversal folks to be hitting the tape, because that's when you know it's time to start buying. I haven't seen many of those charts yet.
On Tesla,
Yeah, so it gapped up from.
you're talking about from the two. Oh, so okay.
If you pull up the daily here.
Yep.
Anyway,
Oh, you're talking about if we gap below 223.
we did. We gapped down today, essentially creating the island gap reversal, but it filled the gap, right? So you'll see a very.
Oh, yeah. I see what you're saying.
You'll see a very similar kind of gap down back in 2022, right? But it not only filled the gap, so there is inherently different behavior. If you go to the daily on Tesla, it gapped down, right? You see that like triple top right there where you have the blue line bags?
Here.
Gapped up there on what day was that? With a monster bar, 7/21 July. Yeah, that one. And then it gapped back down below, right? And it just kept continuing down. That was basically that Twitter closing. And straight down. So I think a lot of people are expecting that to repeat here, and I think they're going to be sorely mistaken, but that's me.
Got a request for Netflix to look over. GP, this is your baby. This and Tesla, GP's precious babies. I think Netflix looks great, honestly, just from a chart perspective.
No head and shoulders, man. No head and shoulders.
Yeah, no.
I mean, we can go get the anti-dandruff shampoo, or we can make things up in our mind, but I'm not seeing that currently. Like, you can look at the daily and say it's a head and shoulders if you want, but
that's what I think everyone's pointing out.
yeah, no, I know you're being facetious.
I think it's possible that it's a head and shoulders, or it's possible that Netflix just sucks as a daily trader. And
Sideways is a direction too.
Yeah, and it's been sideways for. This is the only stock that hasn't filled the above gaps, right? In the FANG name, I think Meta filled it. This is the only one. It got to 485, couldn't even get to 508 on that earnings, and it's pretty much been sideways since. It had a 3 weeks tight and then took a dump last week, and now did it make a new low this week?
Did it make a new low this week? It was lower. Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Off the open. Yeah.
So it continues to trade like crap, but this is why Netflix sucks at trading, for all you guys who are watching at home, is because their float is miserable. They're only doing maybe 2 to 4 million shares a day, 2 to 5 million shares a day, which for a name like this isn't a lot. So it's easy to keep things sideways, right? Whether you want to do it via selling some shares, or what I've been seeing is constant premium selling. Every time Netflix gets to like 440 or whatever, it's just the call sellers come out, and that's the end of the run. but you know, you only need a couple thousand calls being sold to stop Netflix in its tracks, because it doesn't do a lot of volume.
Nick, what do you think about Netflix?
I like it. I think in the event that it rolled over and did take out that 410, I think it would be a really like almost too pretty of a setup. Because it kind of measured out a move for a trade down to the 200-day, but I think it's just in a range, 410 to 450. I'm kind of ignoring that kind of, that 450 to 480 kind of wick or bar. As far as like just kind of the range. I don't have any on currently, or I don't have a trade on currently with Netflix. But
it's a weird one, right? Because their fundamentals are actually inherently better than the last time it was at this price. But Netflix has gone sideways since 2018. 2018, it was 424 is what the high it hit.
Yeah.
423.89, I believe, is the exact number. Have that shit cemented in my head. But for a stock that has grown exponentially, it has gone essentially sideways for 5+ years now. So whatever move that comes out of this, I think is going to be pretty powerful whenever it's ready to go. I'm still long a bunch of shares from the low 200s. I think 207 is my price. So I got no worries here.
I'm sure you guys saw the news earlier today about Dr. Michael Burry's big short on the markets. That happened to come from the previous quarter, or at least that's
it's not even a current trade
information that's being sourced out there.
Oh, it's the 13F.
Yeah.
And dude, the bears are reaching when they're doing notional values. I love it. he might have bought like 100 puts and everyone's like, oh, that's $1 billion. You're like, what? I don't really understand this. It might be like $10-20 million worth of puts, which is a lot still for most of us. But
well, and if we look at the last quarter, I mean, it probably wasn't such a great trade.
Yeah, where did the quarter end?
Well, it would have been from
so it ended
back.
Yeah. I mean, the Qs ended at 370, right? So right now it would be.
So I don't think it's a great trade. Right? If
maybe he's right by the end of the quarter. Maybe he's right by the end of next quarter. You don't know his time frame. Maybe he bought December 2025 puts. I don't know.
Nick, what's your take on when you see something like that?
As far as like in the news.
Yeah, Burry is idolized by the Bears, right, as being the god for nailing it one time. And anytime that he goes and changes his Twitter or goes private and blocks everybody or steps out there on a limb, it makes news, right?
Yeah,
it makes news.
Fear mongering.
It is fear mongering. That's all it is. Especially when they start talking notional values of puts bought. It's just nuts. Like if I buy 10 puts of Netflix, it's a $400,000 short. Right? Like that's how they're doing it, right? So if I buy Netflix 400 puts for this week, they're telling me that I'm short Netflix for $400,000. It is the dumbest.
Yeah.
So Nick, do you just completely ignore that? Do you see it and laugh? Do you try to figure out maybe how can I take advantage of this? Like what's your I can't speak for GP, but you're way more cerebral about this than I am.
I feel honestly super disconnected. I feel super disconnected. My kids and I did like an experiment on getting rid of the TV. So we did that several years ago. God, it's been, I think, almost 5 years without a TV.
So
now,
this
but,
wasn't even
like,
on your radar today.
No. And like, if I'm not, I actually have to pull up like Twitter and TweetDeck to really start seeing things start coming through. Other than what I see, I mean, you guys know I only follow about like 7,500 people on stock twits, and I generally end up
Humble
filtering out.
brag. I only follow like 7,500 people.
No, I'm just saying, like, I end up filtering out the people that like are constantly posting and reposting, like, you know, news stories, and like I even try to do my best to like not start spewing out a bunch of like dumb political shit, you know, like I try to just follow people that are posting setups because
Right.
you know.
You know why though? Right now you're gonna get paid on your engagement, right? Your ad revenue. So everyone, literally every account is tweeting out this Michael Burry stuff because
Oh sure.
ultimately the bear stuff gets more views, right? And so
Yeah, what that one guy kind of proved that point. What's his name?
Yeah.
It's kind of
2K
annoying, but
2K Kim.
2K.
yeah.
Right. So I think that's ultimately what's happening here, which is on Twitter, you get 5 million impressions, you start getting ad revenue. So anytime any of this stuff happens, it's going to be
Sure.
retweeted by everyone, and the hopes that they get their impressions, so they get a piece of Twitter's ad revenue or X's ad revenue.
I need to just turn into a perma bear on Twitter then.
Yeah,
And
dude.
a lot of times when I see kind of moves like we've had, it makes sense to, you know, everyone's kind of, you know, has their ulterior motive when they're yapping on, you know, either the television or on social media of some sort. So it's kind of like, God, how many people, you know, how many people really actually have missed this move, you know? So
I think a lot of people have missed
I
this.
know. That's what I agree.
And I'm not talking even just from the bottom, right? I'm not even talking from like October. We're looking at the SPY right now. I'm not even talking from this one. You know, from here, right? Like there's basically each quarter has presented a new buying opportunity, and it's been hated the whole way.
It's only going to get more hated.
Yeah, I no doubt about it. I don't think it's you know, we're after today's bar, I think it's probably safe to say we're gonna get kind of a bounce here. I'm just kind of curious to see how hard and how high we bounce, and what kind of how we behave as we kind of push back up into, like, let's say mid 450s on the SPY. But ultimately, like, I agree. It's so fucking hated that yeah, I almost think we just keep stair stepping out of here. I don't know. There's
I
so
kind of
many
like the way the IWM's looking. I hopped in some calls today on IWM. And I'm not just talking my book, but as we've talked about before, SPY, the SP 500, the NASDAQ, like they've already had their move, right? Like, and that doesn't mean that they can't go higher.
Yeah, IWM hasn't
I'm
actually
not
broken out
insinuating
yet.
that at all. But the way the banks were treated, which is a huge component of the Russell, I just feel like this setup has a lot of gas in the tank.
Sure.
And I'm kind of salty that I didn't buy that 180, Nick, that you were telling me to set my alert for, and I just poo-pooed you. It was actually 178. You said 179, and I said it for 178. Either way, I could have bought it there, but I feel like I feel like the small caps are the move. But you guys tell me if I'm wrong.
No, I like the IWM. I like it here versus the 50-day also. Just price wise, the 0.38 retracement off the lows was basically 187.55. So we've almost, I mean, we were a point away from ticking that today, and we basically held a 50-day. I thought it was a pretty good. I think it looks like a good setup. That's I don't want to like completely derail. We don't need to go into a huge, but I was just kind of curious your guys' take. I know you're XLE bears, but the whole XLE versus like XBI, has your guys' opinions changed on XLE or OIH at all?
I
as we start
sold
to
out of
compare?
my biotech more than a month ago,
Sure.
and I told you guys what I thought about XLE. You know,
Yeah.
above 87 close on the weekly, and it looks good. And what did it do? Above 87 close on the weekly last week. So I think it looks good. I'm not eager to jump in.
Yeah.
Every time I try to trade energy, it doesn't go my way.
No, it just fucking slaps me in the face.
But it's been strong, and whoever's been long from the bottom, congrats.
What do you think chart wise? What do you think of XBI? Like looking at the monthly of both IBB and XL, what am I saying? XBI and IBB, they both almost look like dead cat bounces off the lows, don't they? On a monthly time frame, I'm saying. Like how hard we rolled over off the highs.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess who knows, or we hold right here and we rip
To
tits
me,
out of
XBI is a no trade, right? Because it's literally got no direction.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? Good point.
To me, it's stuck, and I don't know what catalyst. It's under the weekly 200. It is under the weekly 50. So if I was guessing, it's probably got a bearish tint to it, but it's stuck, dude. It's literally the same price it was in July of 2022. There's so much better stuff out there that this trade is just not worth it, but it looks very very similar to the pattern from August 2018 to basically March of 2020, right? So you had the bounce, you had the pullback, and then you had the bounce to the highs. It kind of muddled around, got back to the kind of the area of like 95, and then took one final spring step down, and then launched up where it went from, where did it go from? It went from 60 all the way to 174 in the next like 6 to 8 months. So this, to me, has the signs that it's potentially going to give us a spring setup back into like the 66, 64 area. I hope that doesn't happen. But there's just no trade. Like, so the last two times we were at 64 was when December 2018, and it didn't have like the double bottom setup. So this is slightly different. The time before that was March 2020, and then we had another pull into that area in May of 2022, and then 5 or 6 weeks later we came back and retested that. So that should be the end of that cycle. So it should not get back to 64, 66 area, because that would probably be bad news, and it's going to probably break down further. But there's just no trade here. It literally does nothing. And
Randy in our chat, thanks for setting up the tables and chairs for everyone, Randy. He says it looks kind of like a false breakdown and rip. There's no volume. And I mean, it's run into this trend line before at the bottom. So maybe you're right, Randy. I'm not eager to jump back in, but yeah, you could be right. We'll see. I just think, to what we have said numerous times about other setups, is there are better looking setups and better opportunity out there for us. But Godspeed to you if you feel like you got to be an XBI because Duzio said so.
Well, so also XBI doesn't have the monthly accumulation I'd like to see, right? It did have the capitulation to the downside, which is something I do like to see, but the monthly hasn't had that kind of 1 month where it's like, holy crap, that was a lot of volume. So I'd like to see that somewhere here in the near future. But once again, just it's not. And the same kind of goes for XLE, right? XLE has had a really kind of crazy move over the last couple of months, but it's still not a lot of volume to take it up, right? It's pushing higher. And to be honest, I think isn't oil up like 30% off the bottoms, and XLE is not.
Yeah. Hey,
So,
sorry.
no, I'm just saying that's different, right? Before it was XLE leading and not oil. And now you're seeing oil lead and not XLE. So there's a lot. There's once again, it looks bullish, but there's still, to me, it hasn't made a new high, right? So after all this momentum and the amount of people who are bullish energy, I'm just curious on why it hasn't taken out that 94 area, right? Like what's stopping it?
Speaking of I guess commodities, did you see like US Steel today?
Yeah, big move on potential suitors for the letter X. That's a big move in that chart.
Yeah, it is.
36% in a day.
On 112 million shares when it normally does 8 million. Jesus.
It's a big move.
This
go ahead, Julie.
So when I look at this, I actually I understand today's move was kind of crazy, and they have suitors and all that other stuff. But potentially looks like it's gonna go red, right? I think this is potentially exit volume, right? That's, I don't know. It doesn't look great to me, even though I had a great day. We were higher in X when it didn't have suitors. Why is that? Makes you think, right? Like, why is it not back to 38? Why did it hit this kind of pivot area and then get sold at 31? Yeah, and that 38, where it hit 38, was on pretty hefty volume. We still have 4 days left in the week, so I'm assuming this weekly volume is going to be nuts. But if you're having this much volume and you're still not getting back to that 38 area, then what's going on?
Yeah, no doubt about it.
That's the question
it still could, but yeah, I get your point, GP. It's just a one-day move, but we could see where this shakes out over the week.
Yeah, and it looks like, I don't know. It's not my cup of tea ultimately, because it does do nothing for a long time, then has its random moves, and then does nothing again, and has its random moves. So
a name that you have brought up, both of you brought up in the past, good old Boeing.
Yeah,
flagging up there, isn't it?
Yeah.
After this torturous range that it had been in forever.
God.
2023 in this range.
Yeah, I still think it looks good.
yeah, BA looks good. I think FDX looks better.
FDX.
FedEx.
FedEx looks pretty damn good.
Still riding the huckleberries.
Yeah.
I think it looks, and it's just at that pivot of 267. Once that gets taken out, and there was big call purchases for January, I believe. Yes, on Friday in FDX. This move is essentially a 3-week tight, could you say? Not really. It's a little bit more volatile than a 3-week tight, but it's had a big earnings move, right? With big volume, couple of sideways candles, and it could go after OPEX. but I like it. I like what it's doing at the pivot. It's holding the top of that range of the earnings candle. It's looking good. You're gonna start, I think the 50 is curling up as well on the weekly because it's still below. So once that crossover happens, it should start behaving much, much better, which is probably still another month or two away.
You know what I really like right now?
Clack.
Well, no, but I mean, I do. I do.
AVGO.
I do. I like both those, but SAIA along with ODFL are setting up again.
Yeah, SAIA have never ever looked at this chart before, but that looks good.
Another
Nice
trucking company. We looked
3-week
at this a
hike.
couple months ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I like ODFL better.
Old
I
Dominion
like
Freight
them
Line.
both.
Hey, isn't there something that says when transports are doing good? I forgot what that is.
No clue. I don't pay attention to this stuff.
Oh, yeah, it's Dow theory. That's what it is. That's what it is. And transports look pretty good. I mean, they're reaching for all-time highs.
Did you end up buying any coin down here? I know we were talking about mid 80s on coin.
Not added to coin.
No.
But I was kind of thinking about it on Friday. I just didn't pull the trigger.
So I kind of loaded the boat when it was in the 50s and 60s with leaps for 2024 and 2025. I have not added to that, but I did put on a short-term trade today. It pulled right into the 50 SMA.
Mm-hmm.
On very kind of low volume, and I don't know if you were watching the flow, but there was a big call purchase for 89 calls for next week. So this one has been the flow show for as long as I've been watching it. So to see that flow come in on the 89 calls, it means a bigger move is setting up here. And at the perfect time, it's the trend line, it's the 50 SMA, it's the breakout retests. It's all of it. It's flagging. Yep. It's got all of the things that would normally signal a great risk to reward here.
Yeah, Nick, I was really close on Friday to adding to my position. Just just some trading shares.
Yeah.
I like GP instead of loading leaps, I loaded commons in the 50s. And I've lightened the load a little bit on the way up, but yeah, Friday I was really like, should I do it? Should I do it? Should I do it? Part of the reason why I didn't is because Bitcoin still hasn't signaled its move yet, and I still think a Bitcoin move is coming, but it's like waiting for Godot. I'm sitting over here waiting and waiting and waiting. But I'll probably add to it before it takes off. I like it here in the low 80s for sure. Speaking of a trade today, my opening trade this morning off the Qs was so lovely. It was so beautiful. This 1 penny off the low was this first 5-minute candle off the low on Friday. And I was just like, man, it is hitting support. Either it's going to fall through just like horribly wrong, or it's reversing higher right here. And just a beautiful trade. I mean, just clean. It doesn't get much cleaner than that on a hit of support, right? Like it just pounded it. And I was right in my thesis. So that was a nice profitable trade today, but just clean. We often talk about price stopping out at the price or a penny above or a penny below. You know, a penny above the Friday low just seemed too good to be true, and it was nice. It was a nice one.
Very nice trade.
Yeah.
Did you want to pull up the Bitcoin chart?
Sure. I'm replying to Randy. Yes, I am still in a sauna. It's holding. It's holding.
Listen, Jason, I'm only wet blankets when it matters, right? How's PayPal doing? How's PayPal doing?
Damn, GP going for the jugular on PayPal.
Yeah. How's Square doing?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I again
broke 60 today.
We're talking about Bitcoin now. I think that Bitcoin is still setting up. Like, look at all the convergence there. It's got the moving averages. If we look at the daily, it's just a tight range.
Look at the monthly. It's about to get the MACD cross.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot to like. What's your Ichimoku look like here, GP?
Oh, I don't know. I don't have it on TradingView. So
monthly.
I don't know.
Nothing yet. It's about ready to pop through the red. So
yeah. No.
Now see, you're talking me into going and buy some. Jason said fuck PayPal anyway. You're about to stop me into going in and getting some more coin now, Nick.
All right. I don't know if I like Bitcoin that much at all.
Nick, that's the least surprising thing other than you saying that you like Clacker or a Broadcom. All right. Like we know your beliefs on crypto. It's well documented over our podcast.
I mean, if it looked good, I'd still like it. I'm just like looking at the monthly and I see the MACD cross, but this whole move off the lows has been on pretty horseshit volume compared to like the last couple of years. So I don't know.
Look at this horseshit move.
The monthly here. I'll probably heading back up.
Are you looking at my screen, Nick? Look at this horseshit move right here.
Yeah.
And that started the whole run up.
For sure.
I'm not saying it's popping to all-time highs overnight.
No, I know.
It looks good. Bitcoin looks really good.
Why do you think it looks good to juxtapose Nick's position?
Say that again?
I'm asking Gautam why he thinks it looks good to juxtapose your position that it doesn't look good.
I think you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months at that 28 to 30,000 level. It's sideways. It's sitting kind of above that kind of breakout monthly candle. You're getting the monthly MACD cross. You're in a pretty heavy supply zone where it wicked off of back in the day. So once it kind of takes out this area, you'll start to see a cleaner, better move. I also think this is part of the maturing cycle of this asset, right? It's the volatility will increase, will slow down as it's accumulating, and then will increase right before the move happens. So I wouldn't be surprised with a quick wick down and then boom, start to move higher. Right? It's literally been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks kind of in this really tight range.
Yeah, I mean, I think
that 50% retrace of that June bar for the most part.
40K comes soon.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think if it gets moving, it would negate what I think is happening. But
you could see like mid-September breakout in Bitcoin. That's kind of
Sure.
when the flat cloud on the starts to not be a flat cloud anymore. So you could see it start breaking out towards there. But yeah, it's not dying, right? So all the inherent news that's been bad, FTX collapse, all the different exchanges is going belly up. It's kind of just holding still. And what's it? BlackRock is now an ETF of Bitcoin as well. There's so
And
much
they'll
news.
get it.
Yeah.
They will get it. Jason with the comment of the night, Bitcoin is no LRCX, I guess.
I mean, I'm just saying that, like, I don't like the long term. I do like it. I just think it's setting up for a move down to 10K.
Really?
Like looking at the monthly, like all it looks like is we're
Bear flagging.
not bear flagging, just pulling back. I mean, ultimately, again, like on a shorter time frame, it kind of looks cup and handle-ish to the upside, but on the monthly, I don't know. It could maybe I'm just not looking at it.
The reason it can't be a cup and handle is because cup and handles are part of a larger uptrend. It's a
Sure.
consolidation, right? So the larger uptrend ended on Bitcoin a while back when it broke back in May of 2022, when it broke that like 38,000, 40,000 level.
Yeah.
So cup and handles are continuation moves, right? You have this large move up and then you kind of form a consolidated rounding bottom that tries to break out again, and then the people who got trapped at the top start selling, which creates the handle. And then once those sellers are out, the ones who have been bag holding for however many weeks get out, and then it starts to move higher and they curse themselves. That's not the case here in Bitcoin, because it's a whole new trend, right? It's a whole new pattern. And right now the pattern is sideways. So once again, back to the XBI, it looks good, but there's better trades out there right now.
All right, we're running out of time. Nick, you can't use Bitcoin as the one you don't like, but something that you don't like.
I don't like ILMN. I do like it on the short side though. I think
ILMN.
Yeah.
Illumina. Nick says short Illumina.
Yeah.
This is not financial advice.
This is not financial advice. So there you go. What I do like, I like Monster quite a bit.
It's such a slow mover.
It is. I like the range just kind of putting in.
Yeah, that actually looks pretty good, Nick.
I also like United Health Group, UNH.
Really?
It's kind of setting up for pop. I like again, kind of the range it's been putting in at 500, 515. I like all of the semiconductors, by the way. I thought put in a little sneaky engulfer there today, right off the 50-day too.
Mm-hmm.
AMD looked good. ANET looked good. Pretty much all of them looked fucking great. I don't know. There's again, like I think there's so much setting up that.
GP twatted something about this earlier on the SMH. GP, you want to share while we're running out of time?
Yeah. So it came back and retested all-time highs, right, on SMH. Is that what we're talking about? SMH, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that kind of supply zone from end of 2021, 2022, before it basically broke down. We took out all-time highs and then we sold back down, and you wanted to see bulls kind of step into this area of like 142 to 145, and that's what we saw today. Is we got slightly under that 145 and then we reversed higher. The volume today wasn't what I wanted to see. We're still under the 50 SMA. So you need to see bulls step in a bit more. I'm assuming they will, considering NVIDIA earnings are coming up. And if there's any catalyst in the chip world, it's going to be NVIDIA earnings that raise their guidance by 60-70% last quarter, right? So going into NVIDIA earnings, I would imagine this is a starter to the bull stepping in, and they should follow through here. But we don't know, because the volume isn't as much as I would like.
Inconclusive.
Yeah, it's inconclusive to me. But what we wanted to see is, once we got to the zone, is will bull step in or will it be further down? And so far, day one in the zone, bull stepped in big into NVIDIA. But it wasn't just NVIDIA, it was AMD, it was SCMI, it was a lot of these names, right? It wasn't just NVIDIA. NVIDIA led the charge, but there was a lot of these. Even Mu had a day.
Yeah,
right?
I had a monster day too.
Yeah. So what you're seeing in some of these names, Mu not as much, but you're starting to see accumulation volume, right? And so this, to me, starts to set up for the next leg. Maybe not SCMI, but it's stuff that's happening. There's still a lot. It's going to be choppy for a little bit, especially considering its OpEx.
Jen asked us if we can look at Palantir real quick.
Yeah,
What do you guys think? Any thoughts on Palantir?
I still like it. I don't like that it's under the 50-day, but it basically it couldn't hold the high of its most recent range, and so it just continued lower. Basically, where it's holding now is kind of the low end of that range.
Yeah, the indicators are starting to turn up a little bit, so that gives me some optimism.
Yeah.
But when it goes, right? And
it's up what 300% from the lows this year, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So,
and I'm with Nick, right? Like I would have preferred to see, like some of the other names that we've mentioned have been above the 50-day. That would have helped a lot, but not breaking the 20 weekly yet. That gives me some optimism about the chart. GP, you were going to say something else?
No, it's resting.
Yeah, it's run hard. It's got to digest these gains.
Yeah.
GP, like, don't like?
You know what I like?
Me.
That besides you, of course. I kind of like Target.
I know. I almost took a position in Target today.
I like this, and I think anecdotally, Target has now, we talked about this a couple of months ago, Target has started to complete its transformation of its stores.
Earnings Wednesday, right?
Yeah. Every time I go to Target, it's still busy. That hasn't changed. It's kind of the breakout area from 2020, right? There's been 2 months with pretty solid accumulation volume. November 2022 and then June 2023. I did not know there's earnings coming up, so that could potentially change my view. But if there's a retailer that's going to surprise, I think it's this one.
Target. Yeah.
The other retailers have already gone too, and I hate to be the one to sound redundant on laggard trades here, but Target is not a bad business, and it should be at least competing with its competitors, right? As far as what its stock's doing. And Walmart looks okay. Costco, we know, looks awesome. So anyway, I kind of like it. It's not showing me something that looks overly bullish, and with earnings coming up in 2 days, in the morning we have retail numbers. I might sort of nibble a little bit.
I wouldn't touch this. I didn't know earnings were coming up, so that's probably a good reason not to touch it. Let it unfold afterwards. but
I might nibble regardless of what GP's saying.
if it does break down here, the quarterly 50 SMA is where I'd be looking to kind of get long. It's been something that's held since.
Holy cow, yeah.
It's
99.
rising. So if for some reason we get sold off here, that 9,900 level should be solid. It has that area has held basically since 2009. So lack of volume accumulation on the quarterly. I always start from biggest time frames, is a concern here, right? So the quarterly doesn't look great. Monthly looks better. Weekly doesn't look great. Daily is blah. So to me, this is not a trade I'd be taking going into earnings because of the blahness for the most part.
He liked it, and now he's a wet blanket because he knows I'm interested.
No, it's earnings. If you told me there were no earnings and it was just this trade, then I'd probably put on the trade. But
all right, tell us something else you like, GP.
One that's been kind of just no one talks about at all. I have no trade on it, but FICO.
FICO?
FICO. This has been a monster.
Wow.
Damn.
Yeah, this got added to the S&P 500 when the banks got taken out, the regional banks got taken out, and it has not. Look, this is
what in the hell is this company?
Fair Isaac. It's a credit corporation. My brother used to work for this company back in the day.
Are they your FICO score? Is that who this is?
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't know it stood for Fair Isaac.
Yeah, it's Fair Isaac. So yeah, that one's been interesting. The other one I like is Gilead.
Widowmaker.
Yeah. But there's no trade here. I just like it overall. Because it will faff around forever until it actually goes. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that still needs to set up properly in terms of looks. I really like ROKU. I do. I like on the daily, I just love what it did. It had like kind of a green doji candle at the earnings opening candle, and then today put in a monster bar kind of on not much volume. So I'd like to see it follow through, but this is a name that when it starts to trend, it trends for a while. So it's good to check out. It's good to see. They're still unprofitable, so always take that with a grain of salt.
ROKU.
For me, I will go 3 weeks in a row of Tesla. I've been wrong. I got to be right eventually on Tesla. So I'm going to stick with Tesla as what I like this week. I'm also going to stick with Zoom. I know I mentioned it a couple weeks ago. I think earnings is next week. Yep.
No, this Friday, no?
Is it Friday?
Or is it next week?
It says it's the 22nd.
Okay.
That would be next week.
Yep.
If my math is correct.
The math is?
That would be Tuesday. Like those. I know I gave Marvell sort of the kiss of death last week, saying it was the most beautiful chart in the world. Well, it redeemed itself today. Not that it's completely recovered, but I still like Marvell. It goes along with Nick's semis look great. I like Marvell and AMD, both of them here. So that's it.
There's one more that I just, as you were talking, looking at as well. Win.
Win. I haven't win in a while. Oh, right there in the 200 day.
Yeah, and the 50-week is about to cross over the 200-week, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you could get one move down to that 50-week, like the 94 area, and then you should see a potential ripper. It tends to have these spring moves down and then goes higher when the crosses happen.
My first Vegas experience was at the Win.
Nice.
Or one of them, actually, I should say.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here a little bit later. I know we tried to stick to 8, had some things to do tonight, but thank you guys. Please share our content. Please share our podcast with those you know and love. That means a great deal to us. We still need to get more people watching these, get some more hours of views going on. Thanks to all 300 subscribers. I know I get a lot of comments the day after we have our live podcast of people watching it on their own time and on demand. We love that. We appreciate it. Mash that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up. Just really appreciate everybody who sticks with us each and every week. We've been doing this for over a year and a half now, and we're going all in full bore on trying to give you more content more often. So thank you. The positive feedback of your actions, it drives us. Guys, this will do it. Thanks, GP. Thanks, Nick. Appreciate you hopping on, and we will see you